welcome back to another Menu Monday. If you're new, welcome. I'd love to have you join. I do cooking every Monday. This week I have 4 new crock pot meals for you, all of which were very, very good. Now I have the new crock pot by Green Life where the insert can be used on the stovetop or in the oven. So if you see me doing that and you don't have that type of crock pot, just use a pan. I've done that for years. So without further ado, let me show you what I cooked. Our first simple meal is a Swiss chicken, and the first thing I'm going to do is put my chicken on the bottom of the crock pot, which I have sprayed. These are boneless, skinless chicken thighs. On top of that, I'm going to add my Swiss cheese slices. Now I'm going to mix the milk with my soup, and then we'll pour that on top of the chicken. While melting a stick of butter, I'm going to open up the dry stuffing mix and pour that over the soup and milk mixture. Now we're going to drizzle the melted butter on top. This can be cooked high for 5 hours or low 8 to 10, and you want to just check your chicken. Mine was done in 7 hours, but this crock pot cooks really fast. This had so much flavor. It was really good, very simple. Again, another fantastic crock pot meal, and I hope you give it a try. For the beef ribs, there was some prep work with the vegetables, so I went ahead and did that first, and I'm just showing you I had all the ingredients ready to go on the counter. We have apples in the bowl, and on the plate we have carrots, celery, and onion. The first thing to do is brown all your ribs. I'm going to go ahead and use the insert for the crock pot since this one's made to be able to do that. If not, just use a frying pan on the stove. You want to season these ribs with salt and pepper and then brown each side. I did 2 batches because I had 2 packs. You don't want to overcrowd. Now if you're using a frying pan, you're just going to transfer your ribs to the slow cooker as they get browned. After that, you want to get all the grease out of your frying pan. It says to leave the brown bits on the bottom. I didn't have very many with this, it's a non-stick, but I left what I could. And then we add our vegetables, carrots, celery, and onion, and you cook those for a couple minutes. Then you're going to add your apples, cook that for another minute. Then we're going to add our red wine and orange juice, and we cook that for another minute. Now for our tomato paste. We'll put that in, we'll mix everything up and cook for another minute. All these directions will be on my website rvlifeintheusa.com, and the link to that will be in the comment box below. Now we're going to add our chicken stock and bring this all back to a boil. We'll add a little salt and pepper and give it a good mix. You would pour this from your frying pan into the crock pot on top of your ribs. I'm doing it backwards because I used the crock pot, so don't mind that. I'm just going to put them in here and then pull some of the vegetables up to the top so that all my ribs are in the liquid. Okay, this is to cook on low for 8 to 10 hours. Mine took about 9, so make sure you get your ribs to the proper temperature. I looked it up, it's 205 to 210, and they were perfect, and you could cut them with a fork. They were lovely. It says to serve them on mashed potatoes. I did baked mashed potatoes, as I had already pre-prepped a bunch of potatoes and put them in the freezer. These are your ingredients. I hope you give this one a try. It's well worth the extra prep. Alright, so for our Swiss chicken, which I must say was, I think, my favorite for this week, but it's because I love French onion soup. But we're going to melt some butter in either your insert, if you have this type of crock pot, or a pan, and put that on the stove. And then we're going to cut up the onion. I started dicing it and then realized it said slice, so I had a few diced ones in there. Cooked the onions for about 15 minutes until they became tender, and then added the balsamic vinegar, and then you just cook it for a couple minutes longer. While that was cooking, I seasoned my chicken breast. Now the recipe that I'm going to put on the website has the original seasonings. I just used this new seasoning that I got. It's the Uncle Chris's steak seasoning, and I'd heard a lot of people say it was really good, and they were not wrong. So if you get a hold of some of that, I actually had to buy it on Amazon because I couldn't find it around here, but definitely give it a try. Alright, now we're going to put our chicken on top of the onions that are all nicely cooked down. Now we're going to add the beef broth, mix everything together, and put this insert into the crock pot. Okay, it says to cook it on low for 5 or 6 hours. I did mine for 5 and they were done, but do check your chicken. And then you want to scoop out a 1/4 cup of the broth, and then add to that some flour and whisk it together. You put that back into the slow cooker and leave it for 15 minutes. I turned my crock pot back on low just to keep it going, and then while this is thickening up, you want to put your oven on 350 degrees. There is an alternative option if you don't want to use your oven, and I'll have that with the directions on the website. Now, if you have this crock pot and a larger oven, you can put that insert into the oven. Unfortunately, my oven's not big enough to hold it, so I did have to use a casserole dish. We're going to add this extra cheese and bake this for 10 to 15 minutes. I had put the croutons on and baked them, which apparently you weren't supposed to do, but it was really good because it made them nice and crispy. But otherwise, just put the cheese on, bake it, put the croutons on later. I absolutely love this dish. I will be making this again. I hope you give it a try, especially if you love French onion soup. This will be right up your alley. Now for simple, you put everything in the slow cooker. You cook for low for 4 hours or high 2 to 3. Doesn't get any easier than that. The ingredients will be at the end of this clip and on the website. But first of all, I'm going to cut up the sausage and then go from there. I'm going to give it a mix, put the lid on. I'm going to cook mine high for 3 hours because it's kind of late in the day. So simple, so quick for a day that you're really busy. It was very tasty. Give it a try. I hope you enjoyed this week's meals. I have a lot more coming, and I will see you in the next Menu Monday. I love y'all. If you made it to the end, please give me a butterfly emoji. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.